And I will also share my screen. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. We are still in the chapter of the marfu' nouns. We have discussed quite a few marfu' nouns, and we have reached the sub-chapter underneath the chapter of marfu' nouns, which is the chapter of the agents that come before the subject and the predicate. And these agents either make the subject marfu' or they make the predicate marfu'. That is why they are included here. We went through kana, the verb kana. We call it a naqas verb, meaning an incomplete verb, but inshallah we'll discuss why that is and later in the next class. But so we discussed kana, kana and her sisters, and how they make their subject marfu', right? They make the noun or the ism that comes right after the marfu'. Kana Allahu ghafuran rahima. This is the example we gave, right? Kana Allahu ghafuran rahima. Allah Azza wa Jalla has always been forgiving and merciful. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the name Allah here is made marfu'. Kana Allahu with a dhamma, because it's a singular noun, right? We said the wafa of a singular noun is with what? Is with dhamma. And again, we have to continuously, constantly remind ourselves of the Arabs, of the inflections. What takes the dhamma for rafa, what takes an alif for rafa, what takes a waw for rafa. So these are things that we should always be on your toes about, because this is Arabic. If you don't know Arab, you don't know Arabic. Now in today's class, inshallah, we'll talk about a different group of agents which do something similar, but this time they do not make the subject marfu', but they make the predicate marfu'. In the case of Kana and her sisters, they made the subject marfu', right? Kana Allahu, Allah is the subject here. But in the case of these agents, which we'll talk about, they make the predicate marfu'. And what are these agents? These agents are called huruf al-mushabbaha. And the author, rahimahullah, does not mention this name for them, but that is what they're called, huruf al-mushabbaha. And let's go ahead and read what the author says in Arabic, and then we'll continue. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. قال المؤلف رحمه الله: وأما إن وأخواتها فإنها تنصب الاسم وترفع الخبر، وهي إن وأن ولكن وكأن وليت ولعل. تقول إن زيدا قائم، وليت عمرا شاخص، وما أشبه ذلك. وإن وأن للتوكيد، ولكن للاستدراك، وكأن للتشبيه، وليت للتمني، ولعل للترجي والتوقع. نعم. So the first sentence of the author is وأما إن وأخواتها فإنها تنصب الاسم وترفع الخبر وهي. In the case of inna and her sisters, and so these are the huruf al-mushabbaha, these are the agents that make the predicate mansub. In the case of inna and her sisters, they make their ism, which is the subject, mansub, and their predicate marfu'. You see how the roles reversed? It was the opposite. It is the opposite of kana. Kana made the subject marfu' and the predicate mansub. So this is what these particles or huruf, this is the amal, or their action, what they do. The first one is inna. Inna means indeed, or verily. So basically, indeed, verily, anything that indicates emphasis. You say, Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Indeed, Allah Azza wa Jal is capable of all things. Right? So perhaps I can include that example here, even though it's not in the book. Or we can just stick to our Inna Allah. So Inna Allah, Allah, the name Allah is as a subject or a predicate here?
It's a subject.
It's a subject, yes. The name Allah is the subject. And Ghafurun Rahimun, which means forgiving and merciful, that is what? Those are the predicate, right? So if you pay attention, Allah Azza wa, or the name Allah, the name Allah, the name Allah, the word Allah is made mansub. Why? Because it comes right after inna, and we said inna makes its subject mansub. But we're not concerned about nasb here. We're concerned about rafa. Where does rafa come into play? Yes. So inna, it makes its subject marfu, but it also makes its predicate what? I'm sorry. It makes its subject mansub, but it makes its predicate marfu, and that is what we are concerned about in this lecture or in this chapter, right? So if you look at this part, that is marfu. So that's the first one. And then the second one. The second one is anna. And the anna wa inna are very similar in meaning, but different as well. So inna, usually you use it at the beginning of a sentence, but anna comes in the middle of the sentence, and they both indicate emphasis. They both mean when you want to put emphasis into something, you want to say verily, indeed, for sure. You use inna or anna. So anna, not only does it mean indeed, but it also means there's another element to it, that. So that indeed. For example, an example from the Quran for anna. أن الله أن الله Yeah, nothing comes to me right now from the Quran. I know that there's a lot, but sometimes you go blank. So, for example, قلت له أن الله أن الله غفور رحيم. I told him that Allah is forgiving and merciful. I told him that Allah I'm sorry. I told him that indeed Allah is forgiving and merciful. You see that part? I told him that indeed Allah is forgiving and merciful. So the that indeed part is anna. And as even in English, you cannot start a sentence with that indeed. That indeed usually comes in the middle of a sentence. Like here, I told him that indeed Allah, right? I told him that indeed Allah is forgiving and merciful. Does that make sense?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay. And then the third harf, the third letter or the third particle is walakinna. Walakinna. Walakinna means however, but. Um, okay. Um, an example from the Quran. Okay. So one example from the Quran is وَلَكِنَّهُ أَخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَبَدِ here. So remember we said that one of the things about the subject can only be singular, but a predicate can be a sentence or jar majroor, if you guys remember what that means, or it could be singular, or it could be singular, it could be mufrad. So the example that I'm thinking about has the predicate. Its predicate is a sentence. So maybe that's not a good example. Let's give you because I want to make it simple. I mean, it is a good example, but maybe it's too complicated for the purposes of this lesson. لكن لكن الله لكن الله غفور رحيم. So for example, you say قلت له. Same thing. You say someone tells you, "Oh, I feel very bad. I have sinned. I do not know what to do." What do you tell them? You say, "قلت له." How? But Allah is forgiving and merciful. So they tell you, "I have sinned." You say, "But Allah is forgiving and merciful," meaning repent. Inshallah, Allah will forgive. So basically that's how you use it, right? It's however, but whenever you want to use these two words in a sentence in Arabic, you'd use lakinna or lakin. Is this clear so far?
Yeah, Sheikh.
وكأن كأن means as if or seems like. For example, you would say كأن 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 زيدا أسد. It is as if it is as if Zaid is a lion. It is as if Zaid is a lion, meaning he's so brave. He's so brave. He's like a lion. Later is used for wishful thinking, wishing something. When you wish something, which later is the fifth one. When you wish something, it means it's not gonna happen, right? You'd say, "I wish," whenever you are thinking about that will not happen, you use wish for it. I wish I don't know. I wish I was on vacation right now. Well, you cannot be on vacation right now because you're sitting at home,
Yeah.
right? But
Quarantine.
you, yeah. So you wish. Basically, wish later is used for wishful thinking. And inshallah, we'll give an example. The author gives an example, but I'll give an example as well. Here, later. Uh, or Yeah, I'll give an example which is mentioned in the commentary of the book. ليت الشباب يعود يوما فأخبره بما فعل المشيب. This is a very interesting poem. He says, the author says, I wish young age would return one day and I would inform it of what old age has done to me. I would complain. I would complain to it what old age has done to me. Um, so obviously, young age never will never come back. Once you pass an age, you never go back, and that's the nature of life. But so he uses later here. You see later. But see, the thing is, it seems like I can't get out of examples like this. So يعود يوما is the predicate. Shabab is the subject of later. So the subject of later is mufrad, is singular, but يعود يوما is a sentence, right? So yeah, as we said, if you guys remember in the chapter of the subject and predicate, we did discuss that the predicate can be a sentence, but this
Phrase or a
sentence,
word.
yeah, it could be a phrase or a word, yes. So maybe this is not the best example to show you the rafa, but the author will give us an example at the end. Inshallah, we'll go by that example. But it's good to have this example as well, so you know that the predicate for these particles also can be a phrase. It doesn't necessarily have to be a word. The next one, وَلَعَلَّ. So لَعَلَّ is the opposite of later. لَعَلَّ is for hope, for hoping. When you hope for something, it is possible that it may happen, right? It's, for example, I say, I hope I get an A in the class. That means there's a possibility of me getting an A. But like, I wouldn't say I wish I get an A in the class. You would say, for example, in the previous class, I could say I wish I had gotten an A plus in my previous class, right? Which is something, it's something that's not gonna happen. But for things that do happen, you use la'alla. For things that are possible, you use la'alla, which means hope. For example, you could say one of you could hope for this. One of us could hope for the following. Okay, what an example would be, there's a lag on my PC, guys, brothers.
Sheikh, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, Sheikh, what you just said, if there is a possibility of something happening,
Mm.
should we use laita or la'alla? Which one should we use?
La'alla.
If there
La'alla.
is a possibility of
Possible
that happen. Okay, okay, all
happening.
right, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
you
got
say
it.
hope, right? Hope.
Mm.
Hope is for when it's possible that it will happen. Wish is usually, like, you use wish when something is not gonna
Yeah,
happen, right?
something has passed, and I mean, there isn't any chance of that happening again. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I got it. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
Sheikh. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if something, even right now, for example, I can say I wish I was on the beach right now. At this
Yeah.
moment, I wish I was on the beach. I could
Yeah,
say
yeah,
I wish, but obviously it's impossible for this me at this moment to be on the beach, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Because I'm here. Uh,
Yeah, you have just cleared it. I mean,
yeah,
that
yeah,
example of the old age and young age, that is
yeah,
already clearing it enough. But what you
yeah,
said now, it's more clearer now. Yeah, thank you, Sheikh.
yeah. No problem. So you say لعل لعل زيدا لعل زيدا عالم. Hopefully Zaid is an alim. Hopefully Zaid is an alim. Okay. And we'll go down and explain or translate these, inshallah. Uh, after, either right now or after the class. So let me just put the numbers here. Any questions so far? Is everything clear?
Yeah, Sheikh.
Can everyone concur or say affirmative? Say something. Yes. Yay.
Yes, brother, it's clear.
Alhamdulillah.
Affirmative.
Okay. And then the author says, تقول إن زيدا قائم. He's giving us examples right now. إن زيدا قائم. You say, indeed, Zaid is a stander, or Zaid is standing. Indeed, Zaid is standing. You see how we're using, we're translating it as indeed, because it adds emphasis to the subject and the predicate, and also it makes the subject mansub and it makes the predicate marfu. And that the predicate is what we are concerned about in this chapter. And then the other example, he says, وَلَيْتَ عَمْرًا شَاخِصٌ. I wish Amr was known. Um, I wish Amr was known, or wishfully Amr is known. So yeah, I can't translate it as I wish Amr was known because there is no I here. So if it was la'alla, I would say hopefully Zaid is known, right? But wishfully, I cannot say wishfully Amr is known. I don't think that wishfully is used that way. So just know that later Amrun Shakhisun is a way of wishing that Amr was Shakhis, was known. Is wishing that Amr is known. Is wishing that Amr is known or was known, which means he is not known, and he will never be known. This is kind of hard to translate, but that's the meaning. Wishing that Amr was known. Wishing that Amr was known. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Sheikh.
Okay. وما أشبه ذلك, and anything that resembled what was mentioned. Okay. In the next slide, or the next part, the author tells us what these words are used for. He says, وَإِنَّ وَأَنَّ لِلتَّوْكِيدِ. Inna and anna are for emphasis. ولكن للاستدراك. لكن is used when you're requesting the correct understanding from the second person. For example, in our case, he said, I have sinned, and what was our response? But Allah Azza wa Jalla is forgiving and merciful, meaning he has a misunderstanding about Allah. He thinks that he has sinned and it's done. He has no choice. He has no options anymore. He has no chance anymore. So we request from him to understand, to correct his understanding of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and we say, but yes, but don't forget, know this, that Allah Azza wa Jal is forgiving and merciful, right? So that is what istidrak means. وَكَأَنَّ لِلتَّشْبِيهِ and كَأَنَّ is for likening. For example, we said كَأَنَّ زَيْدًا أَسَدٌ. It is as if Zayd is a lion. So we're likening Zayd to a lion. وَلَيْتَ لِلتَّمَنِّي and later is for wishing. وَلَعَلَّ لِلتَّرَجِّ وَالتَّوَقُّعِ and لَعَلَّ is for hoping and expecting. And that is the end of this section. Inshallah, we'll stop here. And then next week we will talk about Dhanna and her sisters, which are also agents that come before the subject and predicate. Was today? So I already asked. Inshallah, everything was clear today. Do you guys have any questions?
Sheikh, Lakina. I mean, Lakina is for requesting. So
Lakin, yes.
Yeah, Sheikh. So whenever we see the term or agent Lakina in a sentence, does that sentence pose a question sort of thing? I mean, would that sentence be a
No,
question or?
no, we are. So it is a request coupled with correction. So it's not it's the same. It means but or however, like whatever. But Arabs are very precise when explaining the words that are used. When do you use however? Like you say something, you say a sentence, but there might be some, the reader or the listener may misunderstand something. What you have said could have multiple meanings, or could lead them to think something that they should not think about. But you say, however, like I have said this, but however, this is not a possibility, right?
Yeah, the opposite could happen too.
Yeah, not the opposite. Just based on the sentence that you have said or you have written. From that sentence, something could be understood that you don't want the listener to understand. You don't want the listener to take that away from the sentence. You want to make sure that you filter out that meaning, so the listener does not understand what you have said to mean that thing, right? You say, for example, I was on the beach, but I did not I did not swim, right? So when people go to the beach, they usually
Yeah.
swim, right? And
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
the listener thinks that you have gone and swam, but then you say, oh, but don't misunderstand, don't understand something that I did not intend. I did not swim, right?
Hmm.
I was on the beach, but I did not swim.
Hmm.
So what you're doing is you're requesting. It's not a question. You're requesting and correcting the understanding of the listener. Does that make sense? It doesn't become a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Sheikh. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh.
Yeah, it's very precise stuff, right? So that's how, like, Arab grammarians. I think uh, grammarians in general, they dive really deep into these stuff, but especially Arab grammarians, they they're very precise and they explain these things very clearly. Excuse me. Any more questions? If no more questions, inshallah, we will conclude. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا everyone.
Jazakallah.